Welcome, wary traveler. Come in, come in. Get cozy, take a seat. Today, we'll be telling a little story of a game called Orbyss. Well, on that note, I'm Little Red Jam, and welcome to this week's What is Time? Review of Orbyss. Since this is my first review video, as I said, I'm Little Red Jam. I do a podcast with my partner Johnny called The Bargain Bin, where every week we look for a newly released indie game under $15 to play and review. We played Orbyss a while ago. It did release on October 29th of 2025. Podcast has been out for it for a while, but catching up on making some of these review videos. So alas, here we are. Orbyss is a puzzle logic game set in what feels like an enclosed futuristic world. It has very sci-fi feel to it. You act as a glowing orb and you are progressing through a variety of different rooms. There are about 8 chapters with 6 rooms each. The rooms can take anywhere from, 1 to 8 minutes. Guess it depends on how smart you are. Just how quickly you can solve and figure out the puzzle. Some of them feel more challenging than others, and there are all sorts of mechanics to work through and interact with. Something I enjoyed about this game was that even though there are a lot of puzzles and it's always kind of in the same world, nothing ever feels stale. There's always some new mechanic being introduced, or the rooms feel different enough that each room feels challenging and each chapter feels standalone and unique. Now, there isn't really any story to this game. There's no dialogue or anything. You are just an orb, and unfortunately not an orb that can talk. But it does feel as though there's some mysterious evil spirit or entity traveling through this world, and that you as the orb are pursuing it and trying to cleanse each room in its wake. There are little evil sprite things attached to stuff that you can splat and destroy or roll over, and that is pretty much the extent of any combat that this game entails, and you probably can't even call it combat. But otherwise, the game is very beautiful and smooth and fun to play. I would say if you enjoy puzzle games of any sort, or logic-based puzzles in the games you play, that you'll probably really enjoy this game. There are definitely moments where you'll be butting your head up against the wall, but once you overcome that, once you crack in that little hole in the wall, you'll be feeling like a mad genius. I think maybe the only downside is that since this is a newer game, if you do feel stuck on a certain puzzle, there aren't as many resources out there to cheat your way through it. So you'll either just be stuck trying to figure it out yourself, or maybe you can recruit a buddy to help you out, play the game with you. That doesn't mean it's not a cooperative game, but they could play alongside you. It does, though, on that note, feel sort of cooperative. You as the orb can switch between different orbs. You can drag them along with you. And that is part of the puzzle. Oftentimes you do have to switch between the orbs to unlock different bridges or areas, make walls open up and disappear, and you have to be able to cooperate with yourself and the other orbs in order to do these things in the right way to get to the end of the room. However, the developer did make sure to acknowledge that there are optimized paths for all of these. Each room will often have anywhere from 0 to 3 different achievements that you can unlock, and these can range from being able to solve the room without ever having to switch between orbs, with only unlocking one bridge without an orb ever being destroyed, because of course it wouldn't be a video game if there wasn't a way to die. All in all, as I was playing this game, I found myself reminiscing on some of the puzzle-based shrines in Zelda Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. I found it scratching that same itch, but even more so. Some of those shrines and parts of those games were some of my favorite parts amidst everything else the game offers, and Orbyss feels like if it were to have taken the best of the puzzle shrines and just thrown it all into one game where you have 48 rooms of those to solve. If that was something that you also found yourself enjoying, I think you might like this game a lot. My partner and co-host Johnny was saying that this game reminded him a lot of Portal, but I myself have never played that game, so I cannot speak to that comparison. One of the aspects of this game that was one of its more unique traits, but also the one I was most skeptical on, is that it incorporates a lot of audio puzzles. Now, there is a setting on the audio puzzles where you can add in a visual cue. If you're in a place where you can't really listen to sound all that well, or for accessibility, or even if you're just kind of struggling through those parts, you can turn that on and get some visual cues to help you through those parts. But I found these puzzles to be the least satisfying. It is, again, one of the more unique aspects of the game, but I think this is maybe where the game could have honestly left those parts out or tried to polish them a bit more. I would say there's one I went through that I really enjoyed, and then some of the others just felt a bit more confusing and out of place compared to the more tangible and physical coordination puzzles that I found really satisfying and fun to solve. I will add, because I think it's important to note, Johnny and I both struggled with the audio puzzles for one of the same reasons, which is that there's not a way to pause them. The audio puzzles just keep playing the same pattern over and over and over again. And so if it's taking you a while to solve it, then you'll just be hearing the same pattern of notes over and over and over again. So if you're someone who is a bit sensitive to repetitive sounds and patterns, granted, you can just turn the audio off on your game, but that will be an aspect of the audio puzzles that probably is a bit triggering or infuriating or just makes you want to give up if you're already struggling with the puzzle. But I do think that is one aspect that could probably do with an update. Outside of that, the game is wonderful. A couple of times Johnny walked in the room when I was playing this game on my Steam Deck just to find me there beaming at myself and the screen. So that's maybe an indication of the joy that solving some of these puzzles can bring you. Again, if you are someone who likes puzzles and logic-based games, you will find yourself smiling. I think there's an aspect where with this game being priced at $14.99 on Steam, you're not one who really likes puzzle games. It may not be worth it at that price point. I think it does feel a little bit on the pricey side. As someone myself who really loves puzzle games, I think it was worth that price, and I really enjoyed playing it. The game was created by a solo developer. Supposedly they had been working on it in their free time for over the course of 10 years, which is kind of wild to me, but that does mean it's a very well polished and beautiful game. The developers recently released a update to include some bonus rooms, which is always cool to see more involvement and engagement from the developer, especially after the game has been released. You can listen to Johnny and I talk about this game more in depth on our Bargain Bin podcast. At the end of it, we both did in fact endorse this game. I think I was a more confident endorsement than Johnny was, and that's based just more on me enjoying puzzle and logic based games a bit more than he does. But overall, we both really enjoyed it. If you end up giving this game a try, let us know what you think of it in the comments. And as always, like and subscribe. I'll be putting out more review videos of the games that we play each week, as well as streaming them over on my Twitch, and probably uploading some of the VODs here on this channel. Thanks for joining me in today's review, and I hope to see you again.